Enter a meeting room, or perhaps standing in front of a professor. Or maybe you are just reading an email from someone you admire. You are an adult. You are competent. You have the skills. The moment they speak, something inside you shrinks. It is a physical sensation, isn't it? A tightness in your chest, a sudden dryness in your throat. Your mind, usually so sharp, suddenly goes blank. You find yourself scanning their face, desperate for a micro-expression of approval. You overanalyze your own words before you even speak them. You wonder, am I doing this right? Do they see me? Do I matter? On the surface, this looks like professional anxiety, or perhaps imposter syndrome. You tell yourself you just want to do a good job. You tell yourself you are just respectful of hierarchy. But deep down, in the quiet hours of the night, you know it is something else. You aren't just looking for a mentor. You aren't just looking for a boss. You are looking for permission. Permission to exist, permission to be valid. You can be hidden variable of your social interactions. You walk through life with a phantom limb, an ache for a structure that was never built. You project onto every authority figure the image of the protector you never had, or the tyrant you couldn't escape. You are trapped in a loop of seeking validation from people who cannot give it to you, repeating a script written decades ago by a ghost. This is not a weakness. And contrary to what the internet memes say, this is not just daddy issues. That is a dismissive term used by a shallow culture to mock a profound existential void. Psychology and mythology, we call this the father wound. It is the reason you feel like a child wearing an adult's costume. It is the reason you oscillate between absolute rebellion and absolute submission. My name is, and I am a student of the human condition. Today, we are going to stop running from this shadow. We are going to look directly at the void, and we are going to understand why it is there. Let us look into the mirror. Let us speak the truth that you are too afraid to admit to your friends, or perhaps even to yourself. You are highly functional. You pay your bills. You solve complex problems. You navigate the digital world with ease. But there is a specific hunger that gnaws at you. It is the hunger for a shield. When you are around a strong authority figure, you feel a sudden intoxicating wave of relief. For a brief moment, the burden of being you, the burden of making decisions, of holding the world together, is lifted. You want to hand them the keys to your life. You want them to tell you exactly what to do, so you cannot possibly make a mistake. And then, almost immediately, comes the shame. Modern society looks at this behavior with disdain. Pop psychology and social media have weaponized the term daddy issues. They use it to label you as needy, broken, or immature. They tell you to grow up and be independent. They are wrong, and they are cruel. Let's dismantle this judgment. What you are feeling is not a pathology. It is not a defect in your character. It is structural hunger. Think of a building constructed without a load-bearing wall. The building is not weak because it trembles in the wind. It trembles because a crucial architectural element is missing. The father archetype in psychology represents order, law, protection, and the boundary between the known and the unknown. If you did not receive this structure as a child, if your father figure was absent, emotionally distant, or tyrannical, your psyche did not simply move on. The child inside you, the wounded child, is still waiting at the door, waiting for the initiation that never happened. You are not clingy. You are starved. You are seeking the validation of your existence that is your birthright. When you seek approval from a boss or a mentor, you are not being weak. You are unconsciously trying to complete a developmental cycle that was interrupted years ago. You are trying to heal. It is a biological imperative to seek safety. It is a spiritual imperative to seek guidance. The fact that you are searching for this, despite the pain it causes you, shows that you have not given up on the idea of order. It proves you value structure. It proves you want to be better. So let us put down the burden of shame. You are not a child pretending to be an adult. You are a survivor operating without a map, trying to find a North Star in a sky that went dark a long time ago. But knowing this is not enough. To stop the cycle, we must understand the mechanics of the trap. We must look at the hidden variables that keep you enslaved to false idols. So, why does this keep happening? Why do you keep seeking structure in places that cannot provide it? To answer this, we must identify the hidden variable in your psychological equation. Carl Jung, the founder of analytical psychology, taught us that the psyche cannot tolerate a vacuum. If an archetype is missing from your reality, your mind will hallucinate it. It will project it onto the nearest screen available. You are engaging in archetypal projection. Because the father archetype, the internal structure of order and security, was not installed correctly in your childhood, you are walking around with a film projector strapped to your chest. You meet a boss who is slightly charismatic, you project the good king onto him. You meet a mentor who speaks with certainty, you project the wise sage onto him. You are not interacting with these people. You are interacting with a hologram generated by your own desperate need. You are falling in love with a ghost. But there is a trap. Freud called it repetition compulsion. Because the wounded child in you only knows how to earn love through submission or performance, you are often drawn not to the good king, but to the tyrant. You gravitate towards authority figures who are emotionally unavailable, critical, or demanding. Why? Because it feels familiar. Your subconscious logic is tragic. If I can finally get this cold person to approve of me, then I will finally heal the wound of the past. It is a game you cannot win. You are trying to buy water from a rock. So, how do we break the wheel? We must look at your suffering through the lens of alchemy. In alchemy, the first stage of the great work is called nigredo, the blackening. It is the stage of decomposition, rot, and darkness. The moment your idol falls, when your boss betrays you, when your mentor ignores you, when you realize they are just flawed human beings, you feel crushed. You feel the world ending. But this pain is not the end. This is the nigredo. This disappointment is the most important thing that has ever happened to you. It is the breaking of the projection. It is the shattering of the hologram. Life is forcing you to take the projector off your chest and eat the film. The Stoics understood this. Marcus Aurelius did not have a father figure to save him. He had to become the emperor of his own mind. The cure for the father wound is not finding a better father. It is the internalization of authority. You must stop outsourcing your validation. Every time you want to ask for permission, and you choose to act without it, you are building a brick in your own internal cathedral. Every time you feel the freeze response and you choose to speak anyway, you are initiating yourself. You are moving from the wounded child to the stoic adult. You are realizing that the structure you starved for must be built by your own hands. You must become the person you have been waiting for. Building the inner father is a solitary path. It is the work of a lifetime. But while the path is solitary, you do not have to walk it in total silence. Here, in this digital space, we are building a sanctuary for those who are tired of pretending. We are a collection of lurkers, observers, and wounded children who are finally deciding to grow up. I want to ask you a question, and I invite you to answer it in the comments below. Treat the comment section not as a public forum, but as a collective confessional. Tell me about the moment the god fell. Tell me about the moment you realized that the authority figure you worshipped was just a flawed human being. Was it a boss, a parent, a mentor? And more importantly, how did it feel to finally take that projection back? Your story might be the mirror that helps someone else feel less alone today. I am not a guru. I am not a master. I am just a student, sitting in the library of existence, trying to decode the same hidden variables as you. If you wish to continue this study with me, you know where to find us. Until then, observe the silence.